Calling our commission meeting to order. This time we'll have our invocation and pledge allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you, Lord God, for these, your people, Lord God, that you have gathered here. We thank you for this commission, Lord God, and all that they're inspired to do for this community, Lord God. We ask that you would guide them in their decisions. God, that you would undergird them, Lord God, and give them wisdom and insight, Lord God, on what to do and how to do for all the petitions and things that comes before them, Lord God. We thank you in Jesus' name.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Grisby. At this time we'll have public commentary. Please remember to state your name and address for the record.
Jody Moore on Amherst Street, and also the Beacon of Bay County, Florida. Today I'm going to talk about process. At the last meeting I attended, I was stopped from speaking by Mayor Nelson and Chief Ramey. Mr. Obo said that did not violate my First Amendment right to speak. Well, I disagree. I wasn't being disruptive. I was calm. I was just saying something that you, Mr. Nelson, did not want to hear. Well, the First Amendment protects my right to speak, even if you don't like it. It's true, you don't have to have public commentary, but you can't have public commentary and pick and choose who you allow to speak. That's not democracy. On February 28th, when the microphone was yanked away from me by the Chief of Police, I lost my First Amendment right. Every one of you elected officials and Chief Ramey, you swore to uphold the Constitution when you took your oath of office. Do you think you defended the Constitution that day? When it happened, no one said a word in defense. But I'll tell you this, if I saw one of your constitutional rights being violated, I'd stand up for you, whether I liked it or not, or whether I liked what you had to say. I could lose my freedoms one day, but it could be you next. Maybe some of you think this is a joke, but I don't think it's funny. And I'll close with this. The remedy, if you don't like what I'm saying, if you think I'm lying, is not to take my voice away. The remedy is more speech. The remedy is truth. When you cut people off, to me, that is just proof that you can't defend your position.
Thank you. Additional public commentary.
Hi, my name is Cindy Burke, and I'm new to Lynn Haven, not new to the area, but moved into Lynn Haven a few months ago in Village of Mill Bayou. I'm having a real issue. I don't understand what y'all did with the reclaimed water. I need an explanation, and then I need to know how y'all were fixing it, please.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we will answer your question later. Yeah. Thank you. Additional public commentary?
All public or just agenda items?
Public commentary, yes, you can come.
There we go. Yeah, I went to the vet center.
If you could give us your name and address for the record, please.
I'm sorry, what?
If you could give us your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, you can call me Mike. I live here. I visited the vet center on 3109 Minnesota Avenue on March 7th this year. Blind veteran, I was there trying to get services, and the vet center staff discriminated against me. They stole my prosthetics. They called the Lynn Haven Police Department. 4 officers showed up. One of them recovered my prosthetic device and gave it back to me. That was Havlicek. But then the officers conspired with the vet center staff to criminally trespass me, and they did so unlawfully. I'm trying to get the body camera for that call, and the police department is trying to charge me $30 to get the body camera footage from that. I just went through the Florida Sunshine Act. It's 119.07, subparagraph 4, subparagraph D. And you guys can't charge these kinds of fees. They want to charge me $30 for this video. It doesn't cost anything to reproduce it. I have the DVDs in my bag or a thumb drive that I can provide the police department. I think it was Dutton that said it's going to cost an hour of labor. And according to the Sunshine Act, that's not how the fees go. It's actually explicitly laid out that you guys aren't supposed to be trying to make profit off of giving public records. The body cameras are already purchased by the public. The system's maintained by public funds. The video storage is publicly funded. And the police department staff that do the records are already getting a paycheck. It doesn't take an hour to find 4 videos from Havlicek, Hamilton, Hogan, and Walsh, and then click copy and paste. That takes maybe 5 minutes to do that. Definitely not an hour's worth of work. So if you guys can look into that, I know in Panama City Beach, they don't charge for the first hour of work for fulfilling public records. It's my opinion, you guys, if you guys are upholding this, it'd be a violation of the Florida Sunshine Act. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Additional public commentary?
Good evening, Commissioners. Christy McElroy, Port St. Joe and Tallahassee, Florida. I pulled together a primer for Robert's Rules of Order. I've served on a number of boards over the years and have been the chair. I did this a long time ago, pulled this primer together. I think it helps just to sort of set the tone. You know, the audience has a right, just as any of you commissioners, to call point of order when the chair is out of order. That's just Robert Rules of Order. And so I think it's probably an educational situation. I wasn't here when Ms. Moore came to the podium, but I did watch the video and I sort of found it a little bit disturbing. So I thought I would try to help you guys out with this primer. The other thing I want to address, and I think I've been pretty clear about this, when I first started coming to these meetings, I knew no one, 0, except for one person, Adam Albritton, and he was the reason I was here, because he was our city commissioner over in Port St. Joe, and I had great concerns about him, and my concerns have been realized, as we all know. So that is the only person that was participating in government here in Lynn Haven that I knew. And it was misrepresented that somehow I was friends with someone else. So what I've also done is pulled together a document that I sent to the state attorney's office as well as Sheriff Ford to make sure that both those gentlemen, along with other members of the state attorney's office, understand exactly who Ms. McElroy is and how I got here, because those gentlemen certainly knew exactly why I started coming to Lynn Haven meetings. So with that, I appreciate you, and I'll hand you all the documents.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? If there's no additional public commentary at this time, we'll move on to the mayor's report. I want to open up the mayor's report with the presentation of resolution to the American Red Cross. We did read this at the last commission meeting. However, today we want to present it to those members. So at this time, would ask that the members representing the American Red Cross, if they would come up this time to receive the resolution.
Yes, okay. Yes. Danny, if you will come in and talk about the reuse water.
So there's been a lot of questions about what we're doing with our reuse program moving forward for Site 3 and our current site, Site 2. That project and it's a bigger project, it's still a couple years off. But what we're able to do in the short term, this Thursday, we're putting in a couple valves that will make it so where we can collect all of the water that we're discharging from the wastewater treatment plant into our tanks. Currently, half the water goes out to the bay, half the water gets put into the tanks. That's why we're running out of water. So, in that memo I sent you, we are aware of the problem. We're going to try to fix this problem. I think it's going to do really well. We're going to try to capture everything we're putting out into the bay, instead of putting half in the bay, half in our tanks.
And after that, you're going to put out a schedule for residents on what days that the reuse will be available to them.
Currently, it's 2 days a week, but we're wanting to get it up to 7 days a week, like it should be. Really should be.
So it's just putting those valves in place, and then so that all of the water will be collected into
Every
the
bit of
tanks.
water will be going into that storage tank so that our uptime is better. We'll be able to capture it a lot faster. Everybody can water their yards. That's our goal. And it's not going to take that long. Thursday, we're going to start it Thursday morning. It'll be done by Thursday afternoon. So it's a temporary fix to the bigger project that we have going forward with the reuse Site 3.
Good. Mayor, if I may. I
Commissioner Aldridge.
definitely think that it's something that, I won't be here much longer, but this board going forward, I had 2 calls in 2 days based on the same thing, and you weren't one of those calls, by the way. So, it's the 2 days of reuse that people are upset about, I think, and I try to explain and diffuse the situation like we all do when we get those calls and say, hey, look, we're working on this, we're trying to get it fixed, but it's definitely a source of contention for a lot of residents here, and I think it's something that I would definitely work on.
And I don't blame them. I've had 4 calls myself just this week. I've had a nice lady, I think she's here today. Hi, Miss Cindy. Yeah. She called me and she was really concerned that, she's got lawns out there that she's paid thousands of dollars for, and they're dying. So we need to do something. And this is a short-term fix that I think will work really well. Better than it was designed the first time, if I might say so. So.
And the other thing is, I think didn't we approve like an additional tank or something down in North Bay Haven to expand
Yes.
the amount of reclaimed water? And I think, is that getting built later this year, I think it is?
So we're finishing with the engineering now. We're trying to get all that finalized, and then it should be going out for bid.
Right.
But we want to make sure it's absolutely correct before we put it out to bid, and that's kind of where we're at right now. There's some tweaks that need to be made, and want to do it one time and do it right. So, okay.
All right, additional questions? No. Thank you.
That answer.
All right. Past couple of weeks, had a chance to attend several different events throughout the community. I had a chance to attend Governor DeSantis' announcement at Gulf Coast State College regarding digital currency. I also had a chance to attend the seniors St. Patrick's Luncheon. That was a lot of fun to come in here with them and to dance and to listen to some music. And so they had a great festive time. Also had a chance to attend the Bay Council on Aging grand opening of their brain health program. And so it was, of course, they have a great program there, great respite program there as well. But also now they've opened up this new room and program for brain health. And so it's like a 6-week program for those that sign up for it. And so we had a demonstration there on some of the things that they will be doing in the program. So that was really good to be a part of and get a chance to get a first look at that. I also had a chance to attend the Publix Appreciation Day at Publix here in Lynn Haven that was sponsored by the United Way of Northwest Florida. So I had a chance to meet some of the management and staff there And we just came together, City of Lynn Haven, United Way of Northwest Florida, to say thank you to Publix and their community engagement. I believe they pledged over $200,000 here locally with the United Way of Northwest Florida to pour back into our community. And so we were able to walk around and pass out goodie bags to the employees that were there as a sign of our thanks to them. Also had a chance, like some of you as well, to attend the grand opening of New Buyer Real Estate Office, and so that was really fun, and it was well attended, not just from citizens here in Lynn Haven, but throughout Bay County. And so grand openings are great, but certainly after Hurricane Michael, I think we feel exhilaration, not just excitement, but we're exhilarated when we are attending a grand opening, which is showing that something and someone decided to do the hard thing and build back. He could have easily sold that property there as prime property, prime location, could have easily sold that, but wanted to build back in Lynn Haven. And so it's great to go to those grand reopenings as well. I also had a chance to attend a retirement ceremony at Tender Air Force Base for an individual that has served our country for 44 years with the Air Force. Some of that time being enlisted, some of that time being a contractor, some of that time being civil service, but a total of 44 years. And so it was real great to be able to attend that, and it was an awesome ceremony to be a part of. Like many of you also, as commission, met with the city auditors to review their report that they had on the audit, and as well as what we received earlier today to basically tell us that right now, from their findings, that our finances and our financial procedures are basically impeccable. And so, again, thank you to city manager, all of the finance staff for ensuring that we're on the right track as it relates to our finances, that we, from what the auditors are able to tell us, we don't have any problems right now, no concerns with how our finances are being managed, that they approved of our internal controls that we've put in place. And so it was great not to have any demerits this year. And those that were in previous years prior to our city manager taking on this position have been corrected. And so it's good to see that the suggestions that were made were implemented, whether it was mandated by state statute or whether it was suggested by the auditors, that I think the citizens of Lynn Haven can breathe a breath of fresh air and just know that we're moving forward in a good direction as it relates to our finances. And then having our financial review committee in place to be able to make sure that we stay on track with some of those things as well is going to be important. So for me, it was good to just get that report, just to know that even the oversight that we're providing as a commission, that we're doing what we're supposed to do, and that our city manager and staff are doing what they're supposed to do as well. Also had a chance to briefly attend some ball games at Kane Griffin. And so it was great to know that while we're at Kane Griffin watching some ball, there's somebody else playing ball at the sports complex, and they're all busy. And even with us moving games to the sports complex, it was still hard to get parking at Kane Griffin. I mean, I had to park in one of the staff's parking lot and then get blocked in because I was parked in their parking space. So, so just to see how many of our children and families throughout our community are participating and how that program is growing and has nearly basically doubled since I've been mayor, from the numbers that we've heard over the years. And so it's just exciting to see that staple back in our community. And I've also been able to attend a few softball games at Mosley as well. My daughter plays softball at Mosley, so I have to go to some of their games too. So I've been able to go to some of their softball games, which has been it's been great to see the girls out there playing. In regards to citizen concerns, thank you, Mr. Danny, for coming up and addressing that concern. That was one of the things that I was going to make mention of in my report. And so hopefully some of the issues that we have will be resolved on Thursday. Also, several citizens have asked questions about Rails to Trails. Rails to Trails is on schedule to finish in August. It will initially be open from dawn to dusk for walkers, runners, and non-motorized vehicles or modes of transportation, like bicycles can be on the Rails to Trails. So no golf carts and other motorized vehicles. No ATVs and other things like that. Right now, I know some people are trying to get on there because it is dirt, but please don't do that. Right? It slows down the progress of getting that done. Also, but really the biggest questions that I've been asked is really about safety when it comes to crossing And so I confirmed with Ben Jenke earlier that the crossing for 389 will have a pedestrian crossing there. That was one of the concerns that citizens expressed, was how will we get across 389? They did ask about how to get across 77, and so that question was answered. Previously, I directed some people to Mr. Jenke, and we were able to get some of those concerns addressed. However, with the 77 crossing, is going to be there at the Moet crossing where we have Winn-Dixie, and then with 389, there's going to be a pedestrian crossing up from Bayhaven Charter Academy. So yes, we want people to use it, but also we want it to be safe as people are using it as well. And everyone's been excited about it. That's probably been the most populated question I've been asked, is when is Rails to Trails coming? And so it's exciting that our citizens are excited about it for all the right reasons. And so we're glad about that and look forward to being a part of that grand opening as well. And in regards to the Capitol, of course, we know the legislation session is in. And so as an advocate of home rule, I have written letters to the legislators asking them to vote no for HB 401. And this is creating the unreasonably high sovereign immunity limits, which would take us from 200,000 per person, 300,000 per incident, to 2.5 million per person, 5 million per incident, respectively. And after I'm advocating for that, don't know if my letter did any good or not, but the Appropriations Committee decided to postpone reviewing this bill. And so glad to see that that bill is not moving forward with that committee at this moment. So that is my mayor's report. Commissioner Aldridge.
Thank you, Mayor. It was probably my letter that did it, but I'll let you believe it was yours. Just playing. Aside from going through the same things, I've taken some calls from citizens this past couple of weeks and had some emails. Other than that, I don't really have anything to report, other than I hope everybody's having a great week and continues to have a great week. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Perno.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything to report. Just thank everybody for being here. Thank all our city employees, department heads, first responders. Thank you.
All right.
And dispatchers.
Dispatchers are first responders.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Ward.
Speaking of dispatchers, I know I talked about this the last meeting, but when I went to Tallahassee and there was a bill to help dispatchers with PTSD, I actually was out and about with a acquaintance of mine. You might know him, Ryan Scray, and we were coming back in my neighborhood to drop me off, and he happened to turn onto Pentland Road, and I looked and I said, "Is that a fire?" And sure enough, in the front driver's side wheel well of a vehicle, there was a fire. And so he hurried up and pulled over, and he goes, "I got a fire extinguisher in the back of my truck, called 911, and I called 911. Well, actually, I called Lynn Haven Dispatch. And while I was on the phone, he put the fire out, and the dispatch was very expedient and did a great job. And the fire department showed up within minutes, and they did an excellent job. Of course, by the time they got there, the fire was out. So if you happen to see Ryan Scray, make sure you call him Fire Marshal Scray. That's his new nickname. So I went to the spring concert we had out at Sheffield Park. It was pretty packed. It was a pretty good time. Looking forward to the next one. I think those events go really well. And I also went to the Neubauer grand opening. That was a good event. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was, this more pertains to Moet Highland residents, but the subdivision next door, Andrews Park, I think is what they call it now.
Place.
The two drains that come in to that side street, the two drains that come in, a lot of that water bypasses that drain, and I've been pushing back for them to fix it, and they came out and they fixed it. So if you drive by there, you're going to see it's going to look a little bit different. So all that water that's on the side of the road in the gutter is going to go right directly into the drain, because a lot of it was bypassing it. So, and that's it. That's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward. Commissioner Vandegrift.
I too was going to one of the baseball games at King Griffin, but the parking was definitely a problem. Actually, it was kind of dangerous. I was worried about the children, because the adults are parking along the road, and you know how kids dart in and out. So I kind of got frustrated. You're seeing a side of me. I got frustrated and say, okay, no ball game tonight. And so, but hopefully we'll work on that. I also went to the concert in the park, and it was a great activity for parents and kids. Kids were just running all around, and parents had their chairs and were eating and enjoying the music. And it's time to get back to enjoyment in Lynn Haven. And I look forward to the remaining concerts. And so thank you to everybody that was involved in planning that and arranging it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Vandegrift. City Manager.
Kiki, please.
Good evening. Questions about the warrant list? Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, we are beginning our spring concert series. We have a great lineup of entertainers for us for the next couple of weeks. It was beautiful on last Friday. If you didn't get a chance to attend, you get a chance to attend this Friday as well. And so we look forward to seeing you there. Anthony Peebles will be the musician, and we'll just have a good time. April 1st is the Easter egg hunt. If you never attended one of our Easter egg hunts, you have missed a treat. Well, over 4,000 or 5,000 people there at Kensal Park with lots of great smiling kids. It's a great event. We plan for these kind of events way in advance because we know we put safety as our first priority, and then making sure everybody has fun. So if it does not rain, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that it doesn't, April 1st, it'll start at 8:30, but please let everyone know at 10 o'clock the hunt will begin. And I think one of the great things about it is that we've kind of separated them in age groups so everyone has that opportunity to get some eggs. We don't want anyone to leave away without something. So that is our plan for Saturday. And then if we know that it's going to rain, we will put something out, a contingency plan for Sunday. And you'll be hearing about that if the rain comes this way. So a couple other things too. If you've ridden on 390 and you pass by Recreation Drive, there's a new sign there. It's the Lynn Haven Sports Complex sign. The first one was destroyed with Hurricane Michael. Remember, it didn't even light up anymore, and we actually got it lit up just a couple of weeks ago, and finally the sign came in. So there's a new sign, just another little bit of progress as we move along. And so at night, you can't miss it. You used to be able to miss that Recreation Drive because you didn't have a sign there. So pass by and see that. For all you pickleballers, guess that's what you're called, please be prepared that maybe at the end of April, we will have the pickleball courts ready to go. Right now, we are waiting for, they've already put the holes in the asphalt and waiting for the netting to come in and fencing and striping. And so if we get all of this done within the next couple of weeks, hopefully we'll open up pickleball at the end of April. Just a reminder as well, we have some really great basketball courts, also at the sports complex. Normally everything goes down about 9 o'clock, but we want to give all of our youth, our parents, everyone, all of the activities that you deserve here in the city of Lynn Haven. So I just want to remind you about those as well. And then Commissioner Vandegrift, you were talking about the traffic on 17th Street. It's pretty bad over there, and we constantly send out emails asking parents to make sure that they watch their children as they cross the street. But one thing, I have to thank Public Works for this, they put out what's called a flashing beacon light. And so there's actually a place where people can cross without being hit. So I'm going to ask you to help us all keep all of our kids safe as those baseball and softball games go on. They're having a great time, and we don't want it to be tragic for any reason. So I'm really asking that parents and everyone alike, when you attend those games, that you try to park where it will not be dangerous not only to you but for your children as well. So use the flashing beacon light as you pass by, okay? That's my report.
Thank you. And mentioning pickleball courts, Commissioner Warwick, Mr. Brian Bullock, principal of Mosley High School, told me yesterday to tell you that he is putting out a challenge for you to meet him on the pickleball courts.
Look forward to it.
So he told me to make sure I told you that. So I wanted to go on record that I told you.
Challenge accepted.
I will let him know. I'm sure he's watching tonight. I will let him know that your challenge has been accepted. Now you have to come out there with the sweatband and the short shorts and, you know, and all that stuff, right? All right, City Attorney?
No report. If you have any questions, let me know.
Yes, do have one question. Earlier, Mike made reference to public records requests and fees.
Right, you are allowed to charge for extensive clerical work, so, and that's allowed by Chapter 119. You know, the beach might give one free hour. You know, our policy is we will charge for clerical work. I think it was like a $27 charge. With body cam footage, it's not as easy as just turning over a piece of paper. You'd have to make sure there's no privacy concerns. So there's a little bit different public record element to body cam footage, especially if anything needs to be redacted. So it needs to be reviewed, and so that is permitted. And obviously, you know, if we wanted to change our policy and take a free hour or whatever, we can look at that. But right now, we charge for clerical time.
And I do know recently I was with city manager reviewing some body cam footage, and it took about 45 minutes just for us to get that one off one body cam. Yes. It was about 45 minutes that we sat there and waited, you know, to get that. So certainly not saying that it can't be put on disk and drives and things of that nature, but I've personally experienced having to wait to see how long it takes to get one body cam.
Right, yeah, and there, like I said, there is a statutory exemption for if there's body cam footage in a place where there's an expectation of privacy, then you would actually have to go and blur everything out. You would still provide it, but everything would be blurred out because there was an expectation of privacy. So it needs to be looked at, you know, for those factors.
And that's what he did, yes.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions for City Attorney? All right, this time we look at our consent agenda. Number 8, minutes from the 3/14/23 regular meeting minutes, residential incentive program application 804 West 15th Street, residential incentive program application 904 Louisiana Avenue, residential incentive program application 905 Arkansas Avenue, approval to temporarily close Highway 77 for the annual 2023 4th of July parade between the hours of 7 a.m. and 12 p.m., and approval to allow city staff to be off on July 5, 2023, with all city offices closed. Any concerns about the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Commissioner Aldridge, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Moving on to old business. This is the final reading of Ordinance 1148, Small Scale Future Land Use Map Amendment, City of Lynn Haven, parcel number 11530-030-000, 17th Street, low density residential to public institutional. City Manager.
Yes. An ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida statutes of a land use change from low-density residential to public institutional from approximate 25 plus or minus acres of property located on 17th Street in the city of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is a future land use map amendment, the final reading, public hearing of ordinance number 1148. The owner is the City of Lynn Haven, parcel number 11530-030-000. This parcel is located on 17th Street and is approximately 25 acres in size. The existing future land use category is low density residential. The requested future land use category is public institutional, and the adjacent future land use map designations are to the north, low density residential and public institutional, To the south, low-density residential, east, low-density residential, and to the west, low-density residential. This shows the parcel outlined in red here. This is what the current future land use map looks like. You can see this is the parcel, low-density residential. This is the parcel that is currently public institutional. And so if you vote to amend the land use map and this becomes public institutional, it will just be adding this land onto that parcel that's already public institutional.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Amanda? All right. Any comments from the public? You have a map somewhere? Yes, it's on the screen. All right. Any additional comments from the public? All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Vandegrift. City Manager, call the vote.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Agenda item number 15, final reading of ordinance 1149, small-scale future land use map amendment, Arc of the Bay, parcel number 11518-015-000, Willow Hill Road, Bay County Residential to City of Lynn Haven, low-density residential. City Manager.
Ordinance number 1149, an ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida statutes of a land use change from Bay County Residential to City of Lynn Haven Low Density Residential for an approximate 0.853 plus or minus acres of the property located on Willow Hill Road in the City of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
Thank you.
Thank you. This, again, is a future land use map amendment for ordinance 1149. This is the final reading, public hearing. The owner is St. Andrew Bay Center, doing business as the Arc of the Bay. Agent is Ron Sharp, who is here tonight if you have any questions for him. The parcel number is 11518-015-000, and the parcel is located on Willow Hill Road. The parcel size is 0.853 acres. The existing future land use category is Bay County Residential. The requested future land use category is low density residential. The adjacent land use designations are to the north, low density residential, public institutional. The south is Bay County Residential, the east is public institutional, and the west is medium density residential. And this is the parcel of land that was actually annexed in to the city some years ago, but for some reason was not given a city land use as is required. And so the parcel currently has a Bay County residential land use, and this will be changing it to a City of Lynn Haven residential land use.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Amanda? Questions for Mr. Sharp? All right, comments from the public?
Same comment. Is your map visible?
Yes, sir. All right. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Final reading of ordinance 1150, small-scale future land use map amendment, Parsons, parcel 09167-000-00044 Florida Avenue from low-density residential to mixed use. City Manager.
Ordinance number 1150, an ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida statutes of a land use change from low-density residential to mixed use for an approximate 0.774 plus or minus acres of property located on the corner of West 4th Street and Florida Avenue in the City of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
Yes, ma'am.
This is, again, a future land use map amendment request Final reading, public hearing of ordinance number 1150. The owner, Daniel Parsons et al., and the agent is Tim Cassell, who I think is here tonight. He said he was going to be here tonight. Parcel number 09167-000-000. The location is 605 West 3rd Street. Parcel size is 0.774 acres. The existing future land use category is low density residential, and the requested future land use category is mixed use. The adjacent future land use map designations are to the north, low density residential, south, low density residential, east is mixed use, and to the west is low density residential. You can see the aerial here, the aerial map of the property. And this is the existing land use map, where you can see the property here is low density residential. There is low density residential to the north, the west, and the south. However, across the street is mixed use. This one is a tricky one because with the mixed use being across the street, it could be that, you know, he could have the request granted and have the mixed use, but it is surrounded by low density residential. And when you think of the land use that's being asked for, you have to think of all the potential uses that are allowed under mixed use. I want to say that some people have been saying that you could have, because mixed use allows for 10 units per acre, dwelling units, people have been saying that they don't want 10 dwelling units on there. It's not 10 acres, so you couldn't have 10 dwelling units on there. Currently, as is, you could have 3 houses built on there, 3 single-family homes. If the land use was changed, as well as having the other potential uses, the number of houses that you could have on there would be 7. If, hang on, where did it go? It's gone. Oh, here we go. There. And this is what it would look like if it were changed. Well, it's gone.
All right. Any questions?
I have a question. Okay. Across the street, east, it's mixed use, but there's a residence there.
That's right, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, so the land use is mixed use. So they could put an office there, they could have retail there, they could have any of the uses potentially in the future that are allowed under mixed use. Now, having said that, they would have to come to us for a development order. They couldn't just get a building permit and put it there. But currently, that is all residential, yes.
All right, any additional questions? All right, comments from the public? Mr. Walker?
Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. This came up a while ago, and we had a building over there that had the same layout, and they wanted to move it to mixed use. The commission was against it and said so. Has this been before the Planning Commission?
Yes, and they did not support it.
Thank you. They said no. They said no before, and they said no again. I was at that meeting, so I knew the answer to the question. A lot of discussion on that. Being not a lawyer, but you usually know the answer before you ask it, and you do that. I'm not a lawyer. Anyway, there's a lot of discussion on that, and a lot of people got up and talked about it. And they might talk about it again, I don't know. But there's one thing that came out of it. There was a meeting a while back, and all the citizens were there discussing what was going to happen to Florida Avenue. You had a $4.1 million grant and what you were going to do with it. None of the people that lived in that area were there. They did not know about the meeting. They did not find out about it until we mentioned it at the Planning Commission. The point is this: you're putting yourself in a box. You've done it before, and you'll do it again. You're not getting the full total information of what's going to happen in that area. You're not being told it. A citizen's allowed to look at it, and we did. There's a lot of people buying up all the property there, paying a lot of money for it for some reason. We don't know why. Maybe it's because what we said at the building commission, that you're going to do this. You go from single-family residence to mixed use, the next is to commercial. You got to look for what's going to eventually happen there. People are paying $400,000 for a lot in that area. They're the same people that own this one. Understand and try and figure it out, where it's going. If you want to change Florida Avenue and make it presentable for a purpose, okay. But be careful and be advised of what's happening in that area and who is coming down from the north buying all this property up cheap. And we can't buy it because we live here. We can't afford it. They have an eventual gain of what they want to do with it. You're not allowed to hear about it, but I'm going to tell you, it's going to go mixed use, and it's going to go commercial. Mixed use is nowhere near single-family residence. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Yes, sir. Starting on the back row, Mr. Fox.
Yes, my name is Fox Hodges. I reside at 202 Harbor Point, which is just down the street from the parcel of land in question. I am opposed to the land use change request, just because I want to keep the flavor and the color of the neighborhood. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Additional public commentary, Mr. Kirkland.
Stan Kirkland, I live at 312 Florida Avenue in Lynn Haven. I'm 2 houses removed or down from this piece of property that you have the request. With all due respect, I would ask you to please vote no on this rezoning request. This is a low residential community. One of your own staff at the Planning Commission meeting advised the members that voted on this issue that you have to consider a best case and you have to consider a worst case scenario for what happens to this parcel. And so it would be unconscionable to have a worst case scenario sitting in our backyard in a residential community. And I do appreciate it. Final thing I want to say, after Mr. Walker nicely chastised us for not attending your meeting about what's going to happen eventually with the grants. I called your office, and a nice lady, very nice, sent me a link that I had to download for getting the minutes of this meeting. And I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world, and I still haven't figured out how to read those minutes, but I do look forward at some point to find out what transpired. Okay, thank you.
If you stop by the office, we'll be
Yes.
able to help you with that.
Thank you.
Absolutely, we'll help you with that, and we will give you all the minutes and all the notes from that meeting. And there will be some more workshops. That was not the last workshop for that.
I think I've exceeded my time, but if there's a way to publish that in the newsletter you send out once a month to citizens, I'd like to see that.
We surely will. We just started the newsletter, so we'll make sure you all know about it. And we have a couple other communications in place that'll get that to you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. With the blue shirt on. And then my next guy. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Eric Huggard. I live at 410 Florida Ave. I am just south of the parcel that is in question. I'd like to start off with when Ace Hardware was built, go back just a little bit, and that lot behind it, they built a retainage pond, which was supposed to contain a majority of the water coming from Ace Hardware. Unfortunately, the water flows out of that, and the other parcel heading toward 5th Street that has been graded off now, All that water goes onto Fifth Street. All the water coming out of Ace Hardware's parking lot goes down Fifth Street, and it manages to go around Florida Ave's corner. And as it's going down the corner, on the east side of Florida Ave, there's a ditch. It's plugged. That ditch fills up, it flows over, the water coming down the street mixes with it, and it all ends up in 410 Florida Ave in my front yard. I had to rip the floor out of my office, which is my garage, and it flooded, which I didn't file a claim on. I just put a French drain in. That catch basin where the French drain flows is on that parcel of land, which I guess at one point in time that was the city of Lynn Haven right away, and it's been abandoned. So I have a catch basin where my French drains, and some of that water makes it to when it flows out of the ditch. When Marshall Brothers came in and did the water line for us on Florida Ave, it ran down my side of the street and then transversed across horizontally across the roadway. On my side of the street, they graded the dirt down level with the asphalt. On the ditch side of the street, it's 4 inches higher. So the water can't flow off the street into the ditch either. So there's a little issue with some water there. And on the land, when Harry Cooper, who was one of my best friends, passed away, God bless his soul, he had told me that he was going to sell the parcel and he was going to allow no more than 2 houses to be built on it. He sold it to a relative, Christina Yerkes. Christina bought it from him. The day after she bought it, Harry Cooper died, and Christina sold it to a development corporation. If they put 5 houses on that land, if it's deeded to put 5 houses on that land, that could be 10 duplexes, or it could be eventually turned into a condo duplex, kind of like we have behind Gun Depot. And there are catch basins in Harry Cooper's yard too. There's 2 of them. So my question is if we allow that,
Thank
you're
you,
going to
sir.
have...
That's your time. Thank you,
sorry.
sir.
You're going to have 5 houses, possibly 10
Thank you, sir.
duplexes.
That's your time.
With approximately 40 cars.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Hi, I'm Neil McGee. I'm at 316 Florida. I'm just to the north of this property. I'm just coming to respectfully ask that it remain residential, low-density residential. Just like most of you, we like our quiet little neighborhood, and having that many structures or families on that small a piece of property would not be headed in the same direction. And I know that across the street from that, it is already zoned multi-use, but there are 5 houses on that side of the street, and 4 of them are residential. People live in them. One of them is a business on the corner. We would just ask that you think about seriously changing a neighborhood by putting that much of that many people on that little bitty small piece of property. Again, we're just asking you consider that. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, Tim Cassell, 3455 Harrison Avenue. It's me that y'all don't like. I'm the one that's bought it and wanted to develop it. We are planning on putting, we were doing residential at first, but I think we're leaning towards doing mixed-use houses where there's an office in the front and the person lives upstairs or in the back with a garage in the backyard, which is what y'all wanted. Y'all told me you wanted when we bought it. Not y'all, but the planning department. They want the people to walk down from those houses. They wanted to walk down to the Florida Avenue area and go to restaurants and spend time. So I'm not trying to put up a condo or anything like that. I don't know if you have any questions or anybody has any questions, but I'd be glad to answer anybody's questions.
Right. Does the commission, so you're the agent for this property?
I'm owner, yeah.
The owner for this property.
Yeah.
Any questions for the owner of this property? All right. No, sir.
I do have another thing that, from what I understand, there's something called the Snyder House Rules, where all I have to do as a landowner is prove that it's allowable by your comprehensive plan and it's permissible by your zoning, if I'm not mistaken. So your comprehensive plan says, we want to promote infill developments within the core residential and commercial areas of the city to allow mixtures of uses within the areas of commercial districts. I mean, that's pretty clear what I want to do. And then the second thing is I have to comply with all requirements of the zoning. And it says the property meets that too, because across the street is the zoning. Your comprehensive thing says, sorry, I definitely don't like doing this, but let's see, it says, the intent of mixed use is to create an urban center within the city of Lynn Haven to serve as a transition between major highways and residential areas. I mean, I can't think of a better way to do that than to do some offices, like for an architect or an artist or something that wants to live there and work there. And there'll be no parking lots or anything like that. And the other thing was mixed use standards. It's something about a 45% ratio to commercial to residential. So it would be half and half. It wouldn't be anything different than that. So I'm not asking for anything that's not allowed. And it seems like if I meet those two criteria, I'm not a lawyer, but you have to prove it or prove why legally you can't approve it.
So for us as the commission, when we make our decision, we can't make it based on what you say you're going to build. We have to make it based on what the possibility of what you could build once it becomes mixed use.
That doesn't matter, according to the state law, and to the Florida Supreme Court.
I'm just telling you what we have to make our decision based on, because you could say today that you're going to build this, we change it to mixed use, you can build whatever is within that mixed use compliance. And so we're not making our decision based on what you say you want to build or whatever plans you've drafted. We can't make it based on that. We're supposed to make it based on worst case scenario of what it could be based on mixed use.
But you should base your decision on the law. The law says if I show you how it's able to be done.
But we can't look at it that way, sir.
You can't look at it by the law?
Not based on what you say you're going to do, because if we make that decision.
It doesn't matter what I say I'm going to do. If I say I'm going to put a car wash up there,
correct. That's exactly right.
It doesn't matter, but if the land use allows it, and I show that to y'all have to approve it or show me why you can't legally approve it, not because of feelings.
Okay. Right. Thank you, sir.
Is that correct?
No, I mean, just to clarify, the land use right now is low density residential. So what you're describing is not allowed in that land use or the zoning. So, you know, to get to the argument you were just making, we would have to change the land use to mixed use, and then all those elements and goals and things that you just described out of the mixed use section, those would certainly apply. But right now, it is low density residential. And so what he was describing is not allowed in low density residential. So again, we're not at a rezoning right now. This is a request for a land use change to the future land use map of our comprehensive plan, which is a policy decision of the board. When you get into the zoning and rezoning side, that's a little bit different standard. But right now, it's the overall policy of the future land use of the city that you guys are looking at, and that's at your discretion.
So the comprehensive land use is what you're talking about?
You're asking for a future land use amendment, and the future land use maps are part of the comprehensive plan. So right now it is low density residential. Mm-hmm. You're asking for that map to be changed to mixed use. So when you're talking about what's allowed today, it's what's allowed in low density residential.
I'm not talking about what's allowed today. I'm talking about after we change it to mixed use.
That's a policy decision of this board right now to decide whether to change it or not.
So you don't agree with the Snyder House rule that applies here?
No.
Do you even know what that is?
This is a policy decision on what this commission wants to do with the future land use map of the city.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You don't know what it is? You don't know what the Snyder House rule is?
Sir, thank you for your time.
I'm just asking because he's
sir, that's
not
your
giving
time.
You good
thank
advice.
You. All right. Additional public commentary. All right. Is there a motion from the commission?
Motion to deny.
Second. All right, motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Aldridge. City Manager, we call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Agenda item number 17, final reading of ordinance number 1151, amending section 6.05.09, Unified Land Development Code, layout of transportation facilities, C2 parking surface.
Ordinance number 1151, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending section 6.05.09, layout of transportation facilities of the City of Lynn Haven Unified Land Development Code, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing for an immediately effective date.
Thank you. This is the final reading, public hearing of Ordinance 1151, which is amending Section 6.05.09 of the Unified Land Development Code. This amends specifically Section 6.05.09C, construction standards, and affects required parking. The changes that have been made here are going to specify more precisely the type of parking that is required on parking lots. Previously, it said a hard dustless surface. Now it specifies asphalt pavement or concrete, plus proper signage, curb stops, be properly drained and maintained in good condition.
All right, any questions for Ms. Amanda? All right.
I'm just glad we're doing this. We needed this before, so.
Yeah, definitely need some clarity on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Comments from the public? All right, is there a motion from the commission?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Thank you. All right, agenda item number 18, final reading of ordinance 1152, adopting an interlocal service boundary agreement with Bay County, Florida that establishes a municipal service area and governs annexations, road ownership, and the provision of utilities and public safety services. City Manager.
Ordinance number 1152, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, adopting an interlocal service boundary agreement with Bay County, Florida, that establishes the municipal service area and governs annexation, roads, ownership, and the provision of utilities and public safety services, providing for applicability, severability, and an effective date.
City Attorney.
Right, and this is our second and final reading. Bay County has already adopted this at their last meeting. What this agreement does is basically coincides with our existing utility service area where we're already providing water and sewer, and overlays on that utility service area this boundary agreement to enable the city, when we get a request from a homeowner for a voluntary annexation, if that annexation would otherwise, if it would create an enclave, the county would have to object. So putting this agreement in place makes it so the county does not have to object anymore, and we can accept some of these voluntary annexations where otherwise we couldn't. This is all provided for by Florida statute. We're not accepting any new road maintenance. We're already, we've run this by police and fire. They're comfortable. We're already providing police and fire services in this area, so there shouldn't be any fiscal impact on the city, but it would allow enclaves, areas on the edge of the city to come in, even if it creates a new enclave, but otherwise they wouldn't.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the City Attorney?
No, but I was wondering if I could get the opinion of our planning department head.
Amanda, would you come?
Just wondering if we could get your perspective on this.
we're not the only city. Other cities in Bay County have the same issue, where we have a road and we'll have some pieces in Lynn Haven, some parcels out of Lynn Haven. We have parcels that are half in, half out. Right. I think anything that we can do to clean up this map is a really good idea. Plus, we do have people that want to annex in to Lynn Haven that haven't been able to because it would create an enclave, and we have been getting phone calls. In fact, and we got another one today.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that include vacant properties too?
Actually, the one, I'm not sure if it's vacant or not. The one, the car wash that we just approved, there was, where Diego's is supposed to be going in Club Sun, was, and then south of that is the car wash. There's a parcel south of that is in the county, and they are asking if they can annex in, the possibility of annexing in.
That's surprising to me because I'm really confused here because people are saying it's too expensive to build in Lynn Haven. Why would they want to move to Lynn Haven?
People are constantly looking for parcels to buy in Lynn Haven.
Really?
Yeah. So.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's because it's golf cart friendly? Do you think it's because of the great events we put on? What do you think it is?
I think it's all of that. I think it's just like the gentleman just now who wasn't very happy because he's not going to be able to develop what he wants to in Lynn Haven if he doesn't change the land use. Developers know that people want to live in Lynn Haven.
Wow.
And I think it's all of that. I think it's a wonderful community.
So developers want to develop in Lynn Haven?
Yes, because they know they can sell the houses.
Wow. Oh, it's news to me. Thank you.
Cool.
Any more questions, Commissioner Ward?
No.
All right. Any other questions for Planning Director while she's here? Thank you. Commentary from the public? City Manager, if you, I need a motion for this.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Motion, Commissioner Ward. Second, Commissioner Vandergrift. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandergrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Agenda item number 19, discussion and approval for the award of RFP number 22/23-03 for the annual lawn care and chemical services for the sports complex and King Griffin baseball fields and the Highway 77 medians to Rotolo Consultants Incorporated in the amount of $108,558.83 as the base bid, with the additive alternate number 1 at $45,333.22 for a total contract price of $153,893.06. Could we have made that any longer?
That was a mouthful.
All right. Yes, sir.
I ask that you folks consider approval of this contract. As you may recall, it was tabled during the last commission meeting, so we could do some additional research on it. But I think based on the criteria of the selection committee, their recommendation is still to award as the last meeting had to Rotolo.
All right. Thank you. Are there any additional questions for Mr. Ferris? All right. Any comments from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. My name is Kimberly Powell. I'm the owner of Legendary Lawn, and I just wanted to thank y'all for tabling it, getting the research done, and checking and making sure, because that was one of my main issues, is that y'all didn't contact anyone, and you did such. So that's all I wanted to say was thank you, and then make sure that y'all vote the way you feel that Lynn Haven would be properly represented.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? All right. Is there a motion from the commission?
So moved.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Aldridge. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Second by Commissioner Ward. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandergrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Agenda item number 20, discussion only of Chapter 3 of the International Property Maintenance Code. I think we did have a good discussion on last Friday regarding the Property Maintenance Code. And if you notice, we did not go through all of Chapter 3. We did slow down. It was a lot of information that was in there. And so we did slow down so we could discuss things in greater detail in Chapter 3. Based on what we discussed in Chapter 3, are there any additional concerns or highlights or questions that you all have on what we went over in Chapter 3 previously? Now, our next pre-commission, because I don't want Commissioner Perno to say I lied to him, because I told him we were going to finish Chapter 3 at our next pre-commission meeting, which we will, or I hope, but our next pre-commission meeting is actually on Good Friday whenever the offices are closed. So city is closed on Good Friday, April 7th, Thursday. So we'll see if we'll have pre-commission on that Thursday. Maybe check everybody's calendar to see if they're available for that. But let's prepare, and please stay in contact with the citizens. Please ask them to provide their input to you as we're going through this to see. Again, because all of us have different perspectives and different viewpoints as we see it, and different things are highlighted to us. And so let's, just get their input for that. Thank you to staff for being available to help us look at some of the nuances. City Attorney helping us look at some of the nuances of the details that are going into this. And I think we're doing a great job of sort of making this our own for the city of Lynn Haven. And so hopefully, whenever it's completed, it can be something that our citizens can see that we really did go through it in great detail to make sure that it was not violating any of their rights in any type of way, but just making sure that Lynn Haven is still a great place to live. So anything else on Chapter 3? If not, thank you all for being here tonight. Meeting adjourned.